Hey everybody, this is Laura with Chattin' to the Vintage Typewriters. Hello! Hope y'all doing well and enjoying your summer. We are going to do a instructional video for a Smith Corona Silent. This is from 1946, and this one is in really good condition. Now, this particular one does have a smudge right here, but otherwise it looks really good, and the typing on it is really nice. And so I am going to do an instructional video that teach you how to use this. And if you've watched me before, you know it's nothing fancy. We just go through it because a lot of you may be finding something like this in, in an attic, garage, a shed, or at an estate sale or something like that. And you need to know how to use it. And no shame in that. So my videos really are for beginners. If you're an advanced user of a vintage typewriter, you will probably find this really boring, but thanks so much for watching anyway. All your support is fantastic, so while I'm thinking of it, please give me a thumbs up and even a comment that says, hey, hi, I love it, or what your favorite your favorite typewriter is, if you have one. Okay, we're going to start with the back, and we'll move our way forward. So I'm going to fold this back plate forward. Did you know it took me 1.5 years of using typewriters before I knew that a lot of those do that? Okay, if you don't know, you don't know until somebody tells you, or in my case, I accidentally bumped it. Okay, so you hit your, you set your margins by pressing down on these metal pieces back here. Just press and move them. And, a totally different mindset from a computer. Margins are not automatic, or you don't go somewhere else to set them. That's where they are. And the typewriter is not going to let you go beyond that margin, okay? And it's not going to hit return for you or go to the next line for you. You got to do all of that. So think of your typewriter as a combination keyboard printer. All right, this is to hold your paper. And by the way, here's a typing sheet right here, so you can kind of see the print already. And this one has really nice, it looks really good. I love to use the paper holders because when you're typing, it gets really annoying when you get to the bottom of the paper and your page and your paper is like hitting the table. It's like fingers on a chalkboard. So these come in really handy. Over here, this is your carriage, and on the right side, you are going to find a couple of levers over here. So this is the carriage release. It's the same on the left, and you can do either one or both. I mean, it really doesn't matter on releasing your carriage. Right here is a paper release. So when you load your paper, of course, I would load it perfectly. It's nice and even, but a lot of times your paper is crooked, and in that case, you pull your paper release forward, you adjust it, and then re-engage, and then make sure your this metal bar is nice and is all the way down, so it's holding the paper taut against the roller, which is also called the platen. Some of these other things you don't need to know about unless you are repairing a typewriter, and that is more my husband. I just type on them. As far as repairs, I know very little. Over here on the left side, you have your return handle. Okay, so when you get to the end and the bell goes off, the bell is to let you know, hey, you're really close to your margin. And so then when you hit your margin, you go all the way to the next line. And one thing I have noticed with those people who are brand new to typewriters is they'll go to the next line, but they won't press the arm hard enough to go to the front of the line. So don't be afraid. This will go to the next line, but keep pushing, and that'll take you to the front, okay? Right here, this is your line selector. So we've got double spacing, single spacing. That's what that is for. Okay, we're going to open up the top. And so, by the way, this is a silent. There's the super silent, there's the standard and the clipper. They're all pretty much the same with really minor variations. Technically, this one is supposed to be, it's not silent, obviously, but it's supposed to be not as loud of a typer, I guess. I still use a non-slip typewriter pad that we developed with a manufacturer, and those are our best-selling items. So go to our website, just go to jotandtittletypewriters.com, and right away you'll see all of our items that are for sale. Okay, so in here is your ribbon. We used a 2-inch spool. This is a universal ribbon, and it has a 2-color on it. So black on top, red on bottom. And when you are threading, I would put on some gloves or maybe have a wet cloth nearby because it's very messy. And they just pull out, super simple, and they pop back in. And when you pop them back in, there's a little nib down in there that needs to go in one of those 4 holes. And so you just kind of shimmy it down in there until it pops all the way down. And then you have 2 guide wire arms, whatever you want to call these. Make sure your ribbon goes through those. And then you're just going to have to thread. You just have to, I switched websites, and so I no longer have an archive of these up-close images. I will try to remember to maybe attach an image in the comments below of the YouTube channel so that you can save it. In fact, I will make that a priority. So look in the comments to see if I attached an image, an up-close image that'll help you thread this, because there's just little slits in the metal, and you're just going to have to take the ribbon and just kind of go find where those slits are and kind of, again, shimmy in the ribbon until it works properly. And again, make sure it's threaded through this guide wire. Now the ribbon is going across the top, around the back, and around the bottom. That's the way, and that's the way on both sides. So you need to be aware of that. See, here's the ribbon going over here. Same with this side. Ribbon over and under. So if that's not right, then it's not gonna work right. Here's your ribbon reversal right here, because when you get to the end of the spool, it's not the end of the ink in your ribbon. You just need to reverse the direction and just keep going back and forth. Now, some ribbons have a grommet on them, and it'll auto trigger that reverse, but not all ribbons have that. So if you need the manual, it's right there. Also, here is, this is kind of like a touch selector. Just determines how hard these bars strike your paper. Your fingers also do that too. So it's just what is comfortable for you. Just kind of work with your typewriter to see what works best. If you want to know when your typewriter was made, there is a serial number typed right here. Can you see that? I don't know if you, whoops. I don't think you're going to be, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to lift that very well without everything kind of going everywhere. So anyway, serial numbers right here. Then you can go to typewriterdatabase.com and find out what year it was manufactured. That was a really good point I need to emphasize. When you are closing your cover, make sure you snap it all the way down. And when you need to open it, don't worry, you just grab it here and pull pretty hard. You're not gonna, well, you shouldn't break it, but you will need a little bit of effort to pull it open. And make sure that you move your carriage over to the left so this arm, your return handle, isn't near the cover. Otherwise, it will scratch like it did right here, the cover, when you try to return it, especially if it's not snapped down all the way. Okay, so this is your ribbon reversal. We already talked about that. This is your color selector. Right now it's on red. There's a blue dot at the very top, but that's for your black. And then in the middle is a white. You will never use that. But if somehow it gets bumped on there and you're typing away, you're going to be like, is there something wrong? You'll see I just typed a sentence and nothing showed up. That's a stencil setting. So if you're typing and that happens, always check your color selector and then make sure it's firmly on one of those colors. The other thing you can look, if it is on a color, then try reversing the direction of your ribbon, because sometimes when you get to the end, the ribbon will just stop, but the typewriter might keep typing and it's just, there's going to be nothing there, or it's going to be really faint. So those are two things to look for if it starts typing weird. Okay, here's your backspace. Backspace does not erase. It is not a delete key. It's just a backspace key. And so you may be asking, well, then how do I fix my mistakes? Well, you either put in another piece of paper or you X through it or do a line through it and you keep going. Typewriting is really a skill, and the more you do it, the less mistakes you'll make. But even when you do it a lot, you're going to make mistakes. Now, there is whiteout. Back in the day when, I mean, I'm old enough that we didn't have computers. We used typewriters. You use whiteout, and you can still get it. I would just search maybe Amazon or eBay or something like that, or you just X and line through it. I see that all the time, and that's what I do. Okay, so then we have our tab, and let me see. Okay, there they are. I'm going to hold this up. Right here is a bar with some grooves in it, and there's what I call a tab key, but they're also tab stops, and they actually come out. You pull them up. Oops. Pretty stiff. And that's what they look like. And you should have 6. 1, 2, this one does have 6. And so you just put them where you want to have a tab stop. And there's grooves all along here, so you can interchange those out. And that is your tab. Okay, so then you have your shift and your shift lock, and the silent here says floating shift, and you may be like, what on earth is a floating shift? Well, a lot of older typewriters, when you hit shift, the whole carriage would go up and down, and it actually is really heavy on your pinky. But a floating shift moves the escapement rather than the carriage, and so it's much lighter. And you'll see it's imprinted floating shift right there on the typing basket. And so that is what a floating shift is. And then your shift lock is the same as caps lock. All right, so lowercase and numbers. And then with the shift, it's uppercase and symbols. Let's do the margin release. There's the bell telling you you're at the end of your line, but we're going to keep going because I'm in the middle of this word. All right, it stopped on me. It's like, okay, you're at the margin. You are done. So I'm going to hit margin release, finish my word, and then hit the return handle. That's how that works. When you engage your shift lock to release it, you just press one of the regular shifts, doesn't matter which one, and that'll release it. Okay, so that is basically what you need to know to use your Smith Corona Silent. I hope you found this helpful. Remember to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel, and let me know if this did help. All right, thanks so much. You guys have a great day.